Okay, now we're at the point in our DIY 3220 point breadboard project where we need to actually make the 3220 point breadboard. Before I begin, just a quick note here. When you have your breadboards or when you get breadboards, uh, make sure that they're all the same uh, because they're going to need to line up properly. If I grab a breadboard that I have here off to the side, this one looks similar to these other ones, but it's a little different. If I were to remove one of these off of here, and I'll remove this one, these are two different brands of breadboard. And if I were to line these up just side by side at first, you can tell that the one on the right is a little longer than the one on the left. And if I try to connect these grooves together, these interlocking keyways or these connectors to put these breadboards together, you can kind of see, if I try to line this up the best I can on its side, that this first one seems to line up, and as it moves down, you can tell the middle one's slightly offset to the right, and then as you get further down, the last one doesn't even line up. So if you were to try to put this together, I can get the first one in, and then the second one, it's just slightly offset, and then the very last keyway and groove just doesn't quite line up. So I know that's kind of hard to see in the camera, but these are two different styles of breadboard or two different brands. So just be sure that when you have your breadboards or you buy new breadboards, that you're getting 4 of these from the same company or same brand. Now, I don't know if these are all the same brand for my breadboards. It looks to be that these two may have come together in a pack and these two may have come together in a pack because they're slightly different. They're very subtle differences. The main thing is that the numbering and the lettering for these ones are just a tiny bit darker, and the lines on the power rails are a little darker than these ones, than these two. These two are the same, and these two are the same. But anyways, another thing that you can tell here is that I have all of these facing to where the numbers and the letters at the top for the columns, they're all right side up facing me. So what I mean is that if you were to look, the letters for the columns are facing towards me. They're not upside down like this. They're right side up, and the numbers are also right side up, and that's true for each one of these. So I want to start out like that. But you can tell that these two have these little key connectors on their right side when the numbers and letters are facing me. But these two have these little keyway connectors on the left side with the numbers and letters facing towards me. So I need to be conscious of that, and the way they're going to interlock, you need to pay attention to what you're removing so that they all connect together as one piece. So what I mean by that is if I flip these over, I've already pre-cut these, and I also marked in X's that you can kind of see here of which sides I needed to cut off in order to get them to interlock with each other as one whole piece. So for this first one, I needed to cut off this left side, which will be the right side power rail. And for this one, I'm not cutting anything off, I'm just leaving it as is. And for this one, I'm cutting the left side off, which if I flip it over, it's the right side rail. And again, this one has the keyways that are pointing that way. So that means that when I remove this one, there's going to be a groove on the right side like this. Whereas these ones have the keyways on the right side. And when I remove this one, there's still going to be these little keyways facing towards the right. And you'll see this when I start putting this all together in a minute. And this one, I want to cut off this left side, which when I turn it over, it's the right side rail. So I'm going to take my first one. I've already pre-cut down the line here, down the separation groove between the power rail and the rest of the breadboard. And since I've already cut it all the way down, I'm going to remove it. So I've got this power rail. I'm going to set it off to the side because we'll need two of those later. So now you can see that this breadboard's right side is removed. These little key connectors are facing out towards the right. I have my second breadboard, and I'm not removing anything from this one, so I'm leaving it alone. I have this third breadboard, and I've already pre-cut this one as well, and I'm going to remove this right side power rail, and I'm going to set it off to the side. So now this one's right side rail is missing, and its right side has the grooves for the key connectors to slide up in there. And then this fourth one, I've already pre-cut it. I'm going to remove this side, which is the right side rail for this one. And there we go. I'll set it off to the side as well. So now this right side rail is missing as well, and its right side has these grooves for the key connectors to fit up in there as well. Now, paying attention to how these are going to interconnect, I'm going to have this one that has the keyway connectors facing out towards the right, this whole piece that has the grooves on the left side. I want to connect these together like so. I'm going to place this down. Now for this one, I can't connect it this way because you can see that I have two keyways that butt up against each other, so I'm not going to be able to connect it. So that means for my breadboards, I'm going to have to turn this breadboard around, so now its numbers and letters are upside down to me, and I'm going to connect the grooves and the keyways to this one. And similarly for this one, I can't connect these two together because these two keyway connectors butt up against each other. So I'm going to have to rotate this one as well. And then I'm going to slide these connections in together, making sure that all of them are connected. And there you have it. So this is not quite 3,220 points yet, but as you can see, I have a power rail here, and then we have the center section, a power rail, this center section, a power rail, this intersection, a power rail, this intersection, and a power rail. I need my power rails to alternate throughout my main piece of my breadboard here. And also, again, this breadboard and this breadboard, its numbers and letters are right side up, and this breadboard, its numbers and letters are upside down, which is fine. But that's the way I had to put mine together. Yours may be different, but in order to get my 4 breadboards together, I needed to orient mine in this way. So in order, well, let me say this first. So we modified 3 of the breadboards, and we took, for each one, we took one of its power rails off. So one full breadboard, let me get one. One full breadboard is an 830 point. If I remove one of the power rails, I'm removing 100 points out, so that leaves me with 730 points. So I have 3 breadboards that I removed one of their power rails from, which gives me 3 730 point breadboards, and I left one full breadboard, so that's 830 points. So altogether, that's 3,020 points. But we still need 2 of these power rails that we cut off earlier, and each of these power rails have 100 points, making up the other 200 points that we need, that when we place them together, I'm going to go ahead and connect these two together. When we place them together at the top, I'm going to move this around. When we place them together as such, and we have our entire setup like this, then now we have 3,220 points for our breadboard here.